Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be creating a fairly simple monochromatic page using not too many colours or techniques. This is a page in my very large Dina journal, which I've had in my journal for 2 years now. It's a burlap page that I put some texture paste on. You can see from the previous page I sort of spread extra texture paste onto that page and put some gesso over the top, and it sat in my journal like that for so long. So I decided I'd actually do something with it for a change. I'm just going in with some Sedona paint and spreading it out and around. Now, for those of you who may have followed my channel for a while, know I struggle a little bit with the burlap pages because I don't particularly like how the paint seeps through to the other side. And what I tend to do is cover the burlap pages with some tissue paper so that it seals the page, but I still have the texture. And you'll sort of notice me sort of flipping back through, and you can see the tags I had on the other side. There's paint that's come through, which usually it wouldn't really bother me, but that little tag at the bottom is actually a piece of art my daughter did, so I didn't want paint over it, so I sort of peeled it off. The more layers of paint you do put onto the burlap, however, the less likely it is going to go through to the other page, but just put a piece of protective paper. That will usually help you out, unless you've actually already got something on the other side. So I'm just going in. I started off with some Sedona, and then I got some fuchsia paint, and just sort of, I wasn't really sure where I was going with this page, so I actually just ended up kind of doing what I had done on the previous page. So I've got some Inca Gold wax, and I'm sort of rubbing it over the honeycomb pattern, so you can kind of pick up those little flicks of gold on that pattern in the background. But one of the things I knew that I couldn't do on this page is stamp on it, because it does have so much texture. The stamped images on the previous page, and there is a video which I'll link to in my description box below, is actually stamped onto tissue paper and coloured in and then pasted down on the page, which is a really good alternative if you want to have a really crisp, clear stamped image, but the page that you're working on is too textured. So while I was trying to work out what I was doing, I wanted to differentiate the two pages a little bit more. So I've just gone in again with some more fuchsia and just made it a little bit bolder. And fuchsia is one of my favourite colours. It's sort of a reddy purpley colour, but it's really warm and it just sits in this mix of colours really, really well. You can see I'm continually going back and checking to make sure that not much else has gone onto that page, and it really hasn't since I've got the first few layers of coats of paint on. So I'm just going in and drying my paint as I go. I find that paint does take a little bit longer to dry on the burlap than it does on paper, because obviously it's soaked into the fibres of the material. I've got this stencil from Donna Downey. It's called Finding Strength, which I absolutely adore. And it's a great stencil for sort of using as a outline for other stuff that you're going to do afterwards. So I'm just going in with some Payne's Grey paint and just stenciling through really lightly onto my page. While I say really lightly, I did actually want to make sure I had a decent enough image on it that I could work with. When I've finished that, I've just watered down the rest of the paint that I had, and with a really watery brush I'm sort of blending out those lines to make them a little softer and make them look a little bit more hand-drawn than just really harsh stencil lines. So if you didn't want to do this with paint, you could quite easily go in with a Stabilo oil pencil, draw around the outside of the stencil and then go in and water activate it, and you get a similar sort of effect. So I'm just going in and really sort of rough and ready, sort of where the shadowy areas are, and just sort of activating that paint, scrubbing it out with my paintbrush so it just smooths out a little bit. And you get this beautiful image that looks like you've painted it, and it's actually just come from a stencil to begin with. So I really love how that sort of turned out. And because I really loved that focal image, I really didn't want to do much else to this page. It needed something, but I really wasn't sure what I wanted to put on it. And I suppose you can kind of think, you know, this is a woman looking out into the sunset and read so many things into it. But I just didn't want to add any extra colours to this page. So I decided, which is my usual go-to if I'm on a page like this, that I would add some text. And again, using some Donna Downey stencils, I thought I might have the really bold Live Inspired, but it was just too big. I thought I might stencil it so those words went behind the image, so she was in front. But I just thought it would take away from that beautiful, delicate image down the bottom. So in the end, I decided to use this stencil, which is I am an artist, but down the bottom it had a little bit about I live inspired and see the beautiful colours and so on, which I really liked the message of. So what I'm doing is just getting a little bit of washi to mask off where I don't want to stencil. This stencil, the lines of writing are quite close together, so just having that washi makes sure that I don't stencil somewhere I don't want to have stenciled. The other thing is that this is a quite fine stencil, and I'm stenciling onto something that's quite textured. So you do need to make sure you pounce up and down when you do that, but you don't have too much paint on your sponge, because otherwise it's going to leak through and you're going to lose the definition of your letters as you're stenciling them out. I decided I also want to put in the I am an artist, and it didn't quite fit, so it has actually kind of gone onto her head, but I don't mind that too much, and just offsetting the two words. So while it's not perfect and probably not balanced, it still worked together for me, and I liked it as a page, and it's really simple and it sums up what I wanted to do on this page. The final thing that I decided to do, just to pop the letters out a little bit, was to use a white paint pen to go around the edges of my letters, just to pop them out a little bit from the background. Now I was a little bit hesitant about doing this because I'm working on the burlap, and the burlap obviously has texture that those fine pens will catch on. It could catch and splatter. Now fortunately in this page it didn't, but just be aware that the burlap is, because of its texture, can make pens sort of catch on them when you're writing on them. So just, you know, try a little sample piece, see if it works. If you don't like it, you can always get a little bit of black paint and paint over where you've done it. But in this case, it actually worked okay. And just by putting a little bit of white around the words, it just really helped pop them out of the page, and also just sharpen up some of the letters that needed it, because while they stenciled okay, some of them were still a little bit fuzzy. So this is the final page, and there'll be a close-up afterwards. I really liked the softness of it, and the favourite part of this page for me is that figure itself, and just using the little bit of black paint to sort of paint it out and make it look more painterly on the page. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and until next time, bye for now.